Guess who is going to testify about Jeffrey Epstein? The House Oversight Committee has finally, after many requests by Professor Alan Dershowitz, even on this show, written the professor and said he can testify. Several times on this show, if you watch, you know this because he's been on here so often, Dershowitz says he wants to testify in the open about his former client, who's Jeffrey Epstein. The other night, I told Dershowitz, when the committee still hadn't called him, that I would text Chairman James Comer, I had his cell phone number, and make sure that he knows Dershowitz wants to testify about his old client, Epstein. A short time ago, Dershowitz received a letter from Chairman Comer, which says, in part, quote, "You recently made statements to the press in which you expressed your willingness to appear to testify about everything in a videotaped under oath and open to the public interview. Accordingly, we request your testimony at an in-person videotaped transcribed interview on July 9, 2026 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time in Washington, D.C., end quote. Well, that's not exactly what Dershowitz asked for, and I confirmed this a few hours ago because I called him and asked him. Dershowitz doesn't want to testify behind closed doors with congressional staffers. He wants to testify live, not videotaped, live, in open, not behind closed doors, and he wants members of Congress asking him the questions and not staff. It's transparency. So what might this testimony entail?
I have eyewitness testimony about the deal that was made, how it was made, why it was made. I have testimony about some of the alleged survivors and victims.
On Wednesday, before the House Oversight Committee, Microsoft billionaire Bill Gates testified behind closed doors about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. That same day, an excerpt was released from a new book from New York Times reporters Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. The headline of the excerpt is titled, "Inside the White House Freakout Over the Epstein Files." The excerpt says Vice President J.D. Vance called the Epstein fallout, quote, "a huge problem," end quote. In response to this report, a White House spokeswoman told Axios that President Trump is exonerated on anything relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Following all of this, one of Trump's former allies, who is now a Trump critic, said this.
They should be considered traitors. They're traitors. The ones that refuse to release the Epstein files, want to cover up for pedophiles and rapists and all sorts of disgusting things in these files. Those are the traitors to the American people, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
This report basically says it was the president who didn't want anything released. Are you saying that applies to the president himself?
I'm saying exactly that.
People think news just happens. It doesn't. It happens because there's someone there to capture the moment, to explain it and share it. That's my job. I go where news breaks and give you the facts. Join me for The Record on Newsmax.